Greetings, Indie Warriors! Normally you'd be seeing the Dream Drop right now, our weekly rundown of all the exciting indie game releases, but with the end of the year now upon us, there's just not enough games actually releasing to create a Dream Drop, well, until next week anyways. So, with that said, I thought this would be a great opportunity to take a sneak peek at some of the most exciting indie game releases headed our way for 2026. Whew, that was a hell of a fast year, I gotta say. But real quick, support real people that make real things at patreon.com/idreamofindiegames, where your new indie gaming community is waiting for you. Alright, while it doesn't have a concrete release date just yet, Devolver Digital's eagerly anticipated Enter the Gungeon 2 will be releasing in 2026, the follow-up to 2016's popular bullet hell dungeon crawler. This sequel will come packed with more weapons, more enemies, more dungeons, and a new 3D visual facelift. Choose a Gungeoneer and see how long you can survive in this great-looking sequel that we can't wait to get our grubby little mitts on. Players can also shoot for the stars in another indie release dropping in 2026 from Devolver Digital, STARSEEKER Astroneer Expeditions, which has more of a multiplayer focus and comes to us from the same team that brought us Astroneer. While this is an entirely new game, STARSEEKER will take place in the Astroneer universe and have you exploring the outer limits to no end. Go on epic expeditions with friends as you complete various objectives using a variety of technologically advanced tools. Who knows what you'll discover in this awesome-looking release. If that wasn't enough space exploration for you, then perhaps this tactical roguelite will satiate your cravings. Based in the Battlestar Galactica universe, Scattered Hopes will feature sweat-inducing space shootouts and no shortage of drama with critical choices to be made. You'll take the lead as a Gunstar captain, and it seems like we'll be blasting off into space relatively soon, as the game has been scheduled for Q1 2026. Holmes & Watson are next on the case in this fun and hilarious-looking indie release, Crushed in Time, which is coming to us from Draw Me a Pixel. Ironically, this classic duo will also be traveling to space and beyond in this awesome adventure that will have you solving no shortage of mysteries. Being described as more of a meta experience, you'll quite literally be trapped within a game itself, traversing its many stages of development. With an entertaining cast of characters and voice performances from real people, hard to come by these days, Crushed in Time should be a nice distraction when it releases next year. Get ready to flip and jump between trains across long-forgotten railways in a futuristic Japan. This is Denshattack, which is coming to us from the same developer that brought us indie releases like Koa and the 5 Pirates of Mara. Hop about creating smooth combos across over 50 unique levels. The game's mechanics will take a bit to master, it seems, rewarding players for their skills and dedication to the game. There's even going to be boss fights in this one, bonus challenges, and plenty of unlockables. The stylish visuals are also drawing me into the experience, so I'm very much looking forward to playing this one, hopefully not too late into the year. Well, I'll be damned, a game that has an actual release date already. Solasta II is an eagerly anticipated follow-up for a game that surprised a lot of people by managing to sell over 1 million copies. Dark forces are at it again in this epic fantasy world. Your party will explore a variety of locations, taking part in grandiose turn-based tactical battles where many of the outcomes lie in the fate of the die. From paladins to sorcerers, there are many heroes to control, so fans of both tactical games and tabletop-inspired RPGs will certainly want to have this one on their wishlist. Plus, there's tons of critical choices to be made. All of that said, the game is going to be starting out in early access first. Scott Pilgrim has had quite the journey in the world of video games, but through it all, we're now getting a brand new brawler for this franchise, and I am beyond excited about it. Take control of Scott, Ramona, and the rest of the gang in this epic-looking beat-em-up that will have you bashing baddies throughout a demon-infested Toronto. This is Scott Pilgrim EX. The series' signature art style is fully on display, looking better than ever, with the game featuring 7 characters total, which all come equipped with unique movesets. Plus, it's got that River City Ransom DNA with upgradable stats, equipables, and more. Toss in a brand new story co-written by Brian O'Malley with music from Anamanaguchi, and you've got yourself one of the most exciting-looking releases of the new year. Here's a fascinating cinematic adventure game which follows the story of a young knight in medieval Italy. This is 1348 Ex Voto. The cinematic style of this game looks incredible so far, with action taking place from the third-person perspective. What really makes this title stand out, however, is the sword-based combat, which is inspired by European martial arts and was achieved through actual motion capturing techniques, creating a sense of realism. Players will have 2 different combat stances to pick between with no shortage of different skills which can be unlocked. This is a very cool looking release that comes to us from Said Leo and Dear Villagers in 2026. Back to the sci-fi now, this is Aphelion, coming to us from Don't Nod. Taking place on a frozen planet, you'll control Ariane on a quest to find her badly injured partner Thomas. There will be a massive area to explore and even a bit of stealth mixed into this adventure. It's really the narrative that has me interested, however, as throughout gameplay you'll see things through the perspective of two different characters. I always enjoyed that storytelling mechanism. It certainly looks cinematic, but we'll have to see how its other gameplay mechanics come together. I'm feeling rather optimistic. Now, I didn't forget about you deck builder fans out there. 2025 was packed with these games, and I'm confident 2026 will feature even more high-quality releases within the genre. Just have a look at Bloodletter, for example, which has more of a medieval vibe to it. Create the ultimate deck as you try to heal villagers who are being tortured. It's an interesting concept, with the game having over 80 unique cards, 6 curse cards that really mix things up, and 10 unique villagers. The eerie atmosphere and art style of this game have me beyond intrigued to give it a go for myself. Fans of this channel know that I am a sucker for the occasional cinematic platformer, so Dear and Boy was a no-brainer to add to my wishlist the moment I laid eyes on it. You'll control a young boy who appears to have run away from home and ends up growing a pretty deep attachment to a fawn. As the two grow closer, they learn new skills that will help them to survive together. Don't expect much for dialogue here, however, the game should still manage to pull at the heartstrings with its emotional narrative, jaw-dropping art direction, and non-violent approach to storytelling. Looks fantastic. This next game was a bit of a surprise, as while I enjoyed the original Echo generation, I didn't hear all that much conversation around it following its release. But we are indeed getting a sequel, so now I eagerly await more sci-fi voxel goodness in Echo Generation 2. There seems to be more of a focus on crafting characters this go-around, with the overall tone of the game seeming much darker than the original. Between this and Planet of Lana 2 being announced, I feel like my indie prayers are being answered, so a big shout out to everyone who supported the first game enough to make this sequel possible. And while I'm thinking of it, yes, Planet of Lana 2 is also scheduled for 2026. Gosh, it's shaping up to be an amazing year for cinematic platformers. Prepare for more clever puzzles to solve, a heartfelt story, and an epic score with the series composer once again returning to bring this vibrant world to life. I love myself a good digital board game, but I'm not sure I've ever seen one quite like Invokyr, which has me very excited to give it a go in the new year. It's a dice-rolling affair with a horrific vibe as you work together to take down the all-powerful Game Master. Avoid traps, curses, and monsters as you navigate a twisted labyrinth. Teamwork will make the dream work, so try to stay alive, unless you're a scaredy cat. Board game aficionados that also enjoy the spookies should have a good time with this one. Now, Cozy Grove is a game that managed to find a bit of a cozy audience, and the developers have a new project on the horizon. It's called Spirit Crossing, and it will be launching onto Steam in 2026. This title will take a bit more of a multiplayer approach, allowing you to express yourself in a variety of ways while making friends. There's fishing to be had, songs to be sung, and a village to grow in this sweet, non-violent, cozy experience that should bring a smile to our faces. Usual June is a game that was supposed to make it out in 2025, but it appears to need just a bit more time in the oven, unfortunately. This third-person action title has captivated me since its debut trailer, with an awesome art direction and very interesting premise where you're unraveling the dark mysteries of a rather spooky town. Summer break has gone very wrong in this indie coming to us from Finji. Let's hope we don't have to wait until late summer to get our hands on it for ourselves. Alright, I'm gonna hand this list off to Barely Magic Mike, who has even more awesome 2026 releases to shout out for you.
Thanks for the handoff, Old Gamer Joe. Let's start with Big Hops, a 3D platformer with a robust moveset and level of polish that really surprised me when I tried its demo. Using your tongue to do everything from pick up bugs to fling yourself onto a grapple point, movement in Big Hops feels expressive and tight, making it one of the more promising looking 3D platformers I hope to get my hands on in 2026. The game doesn't stop with its interesting moveset though, as you can collect a variety of veggies to assist in traversal around its world, like turning mushrooms into bounce pads, planting acorns to grow climbable vines, and much more. Even with that 2026 release date, it will only be a couple of weeks before we can get our hands on Big Hops, and I hope it lives up to its promise. The next game I want to talk about also comes out on the 12th courtesy of Brigada Games and Devolver Digital. This is Quarantine Zone: The Last Check, a game where you run a checkpoint Papers, Please style, scanning survivors for contraband and any signs of zombie virus infection, and then use funds to upgrade supplies and perhaps even start researching a cure. This looks like a pretty interesting twist on Lucas Pope's influential Border Patrol gameplay, and hopefully has plenty of depth to make it stand on its own when it joins us shortly after the new year. Now let's go a couple more weeks out to the hopefully final release of Cairn, the new title from the game makers, developers of Fury and Haven. Cairn was originally supposed to release in November, but had to get pushed back a bit. Not that I was complaining too hard with how insanely stacked the end of 2025 was on indie game releases. Still, it was hard not to be slightly disappointed because Cairn looks like a stunning departure from the game maker's previous work. This is a tense, rugged-looking survival climbing game looking a bit like Jusant with a heaping helping of anxiety layered on top. You play as a pro climber named Ava, who is trying to ascend the never-before-reached peak of Mount Kami. The developers claim that each wall in Cairn is meant to feel like a boss fight, providing unique traversal challenges and an atmospheric sense of dread that should hopefully make it one of the standout titles of 2026. Here's hoping it's been worth the wait when it lands on Steam and PlayStation 5 on January 29. Alright, just what the hell is a Y2K themed arena movement shooter? Well, it looks something like the last release for January 2026 that I want to talk about on this list, and it's called Don't Stop Girlypop, the refreshingly weirdest looking shooter I've seen in a long time. Don't Stop Girlypop is a bombastic shooter where moving fast through its very, very pink landscapes is the name of the game, and this one means it. Going faster means dealing more damage and healing more health, so make sure you take advantage of all your movement abilities to never be standing still if you want to survive. It seems like a lot of shooters settle for blending together these days, and it's nice to see one that aims to stand out in its own unabashedly unique way. Check out Don't Stop Girlypop when it hits Steam on January 29. The next title straddles the line between indie and AA, perhaps falling closer to an indie success story that made it AA. No matter what you want to call it, there's no doubt in my mind that REANIMAL is one of my most anticipated games of 2026. Brought to us by the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2, but not 3, just to be extremely clear on that. STARSEEKER is bringing us a new but familiar vision of their creepy cute horror stylings with an optionally co-op adventure game that looks utterly mortifying. I refuse to believe this will be anything but a masterpiece, but we'll just have to see for ourselves when REANIMAL finally releases on all modern platforms this February 13th. 3D platformer Demon Turf was highly anticipated back around its 2021 release date, but met with a reception that ranged from gently positive to a bit lukewarm. Even as a huge fan of 3D platformers myself, I didn't get the chance to check it out, but it's hard to ignore that its sequel looks like an undeniably polished evolution of the original game. Its expressive platforming looks absolutely sublime, and frankly, I'm always down for a platformer that focuses on movement above all else, which is something that can be strangely hard to find. Demon Tides is another title that got pushed out of its 2025 release window and is now slated to land on Steam first on February 19th, 2026, with other platforms coming later on. I am admittedly a total sucker for anything Disco Elysium-like, and Esoteric Ebb has been on my radar for a long time. And thankfully, rather than trying to replicate Disco Elysium, which is never a goal that goes well, Esoteric Ebb aims for a more colorful, tongue-in-cheek tone, placing you in the shoes of the world's worst cleric, who will go about a fantastical city meeting drunk sphinxes, mythical creatures, and all sorts of other bizarre characters. It's hard to know how an RPG like this will turn out, given that they live and die by their writing and storytelling, but I'm absolutely rooting for Esoteric Ebb when it releases sometime in the first quarter of 2026. Ready for something completely horrifying now? Cool, me too. Final Sentence is a battle royale typing game, probably the first of its kind unless I haven't been paying attention. You'll have to type quickly and accurately because there's a revolver pointed at your head with a single bullet in the chamber. Final Sentence will support private matches with 4 to 8 friends or much more massive challenges with 40 to 100 players. In any case, this looks like an extremely tense twist on the battle royale genre and immediately has my attention. Check it out when it hits Steam in the first quarter of 2026. I think we need a cute palette cleanser now, so let's look at Dodo Duckie, a hybrid 2D, 3D platformer where switching perspectives is a core part of the game. Dodo has a pretty wide moveset, including gliding, floating, flopping, and of course a dedicated quack button, but the ability to switch perspectives at your leisure will be core to solving the game's puzzles and platforming challenges. This is an awfully ambitious title, and I can't wait to see what comes of it when it releases, again, in the first quarter of 2026. Next, the developers of Domekeeper are back with PVKK, or... Okay, we're gonna do this. I am going to do this. Planetenverteidigungskanonenkommandant. Phew. Oh, if any of you can say that 10 times fast, I will get it tattooed on my butt. Just kidding, my butt is not big enough to fit that title. Gotta work on my squats a bit. Anyway. PVKK, as I will refer to it going forward to protect my sanity and yours, has you playing as a cannon pilot for an autocratic regime, having to defend against an interplanetary invasion. The tech in your bunker has a very retro-futuristic vibe about it, which I'm all for, and learning to properly use it and manage your limited resources will ensure your success. That is, unless you're undone by the game's various moral dilemmas. That's right, your choices will shape the narrative here and can lead to one of multiple endings. Hopefully, PVKK gets the job done when it releases later in 2026. My next pick ostensibly looks like Indie Returnal in first person, and I am completely here for it, especially as somebody who deeply wished Returnal hadn't been a roguelike. Luna Abyss is a movement and narrative-focused FPS where you'll jump, dash, and avoid lots of patterned bullets as you make your way through a brutalist alien megastructure. It doesn't have a release date yet, other than just 2026, but we will certainly be paying attention whenever this one lands. At last, we touch on my biggest disappointment of 2025, only because it didn't actually release. I kid, but seriously, my anticipation for Mixtape has been off the charts ever since I tried the demo and met the awesome folks at developer Beethoven and Dinosaur back at Summer Game Fest. Mixtape's demo exuded such creativity, weirdness, and stylistic flair that it's bound to make waves when it finally releases and will almost certainly one-up its already brilliant predecessor, The Artful Escape, which is a game you should make an effort to play if you haven't already. Mixtape has you play through a mixtape of different memories of three friends as they embark on one last night of adventures. Drawing inspiration from coming-of-age movies and featuring music from a ton of prolific artists like Joy Division, The Smashing Pumpkins, The Cure, and many others, Mixtape certainly left an impression on me and is sure to be a title folks talk about for years to come if it lands on its ambitious concepts. Still no release date other than 2026, but fine. Let them cook. I have a feeling it will be worth it. Mythic Owl is a developer with a knack for cozy and compelling games, with Harmony's Odyssey and Planet Tiles being their most recent titles that you folks might recognize. Their newest game, releasing in 2026, is Truckful, a cozy-looking delivery game where you drive a truck through a countryside delivering goods to local residents. There does look to be a bit of a dark side as something is watching you from the forest, so surely Truckful is hiding a few secrets among its cargo, but this looks like a unique and brilliant looking good time from developers who know how to deliver such an experience, and I can't wait to see what Truckful has to show when it releases sometime in 2026. Last one for today, folks, so let's make it a spooky one. Dreadmoor is a first-person horror fishing game that looks like an even darker take on Dredge. Dreadmoor is set in a nuclear post-apocalypse with some very Dredge-like fishing mechanics, but also engaging-looking exploration and a dark tone that seems to abandon the borderline cozy nature of Dredge during the daytime. Over 100 species of prey await you as you journey across the submerged land, and hopefully this will be a fishing RPG we won't soon forget when it releases in Q4 of 2026. Joe and I may have just talked through 30 different games we're looking forward to in 2026, but believe it or not, this list was still heavily curated as there is a ton of awesome stuff on the horizon. Keep it here on I Dream of Indie Games for more coverage of all the incredible projects we see come to fruition in the new year, and of course, have a happy and healthy new year. As always, voice to the voiceless.